we're on Lake Eufaula here. We're on the southern end of the lake by Bug Tussle area. So right now we have a 9-foot flood. I think we're at 9.25 above normal. There's still more water coming in than what's being released, and it does make it difficult, but it doesn't make it impossible. You can go out and catch fish. We're going to go out to some main lake points, rock points, go find some structure. And once we find those areas, there'll be some fish on them, and we'll see how they're going to eat. First drop is always important. You don't want to be you want to make it a good presentation. Make a good presentation. Let them see it. Just like that, get a good quality eater, about a 110 fish, perfectly good eater. Definitely post spawn. I mean, everything's gonna be spawned out we catch, and there's several more of them sitting right there together. We'll catch another one. So once the summertime pattern gets here, these fish really get close to timber, any trees that are down, lay downs, you know. They want to get that shade also that we want from the sun. Another good summertime fish. Nothing too big, just a good quality eater. And down here on the south end of the lake, we catch a whole bunch of white crappie, white perch, white sockeye, whatever you want to call it. If you go into the mid-lake northern area, you can go catch black crappie. On the southern end, there is a few blacks every once in a while. That seem like they are starting to migrate a little bit. But overall, the south end has just an absolute bunch of white crappie down here. My biggest crappie on Eufaula is a 298, so I was just off of a 3-pounder. Clients, I've had several in the 290 range. We haven't broke the 3, but there's been several 3s caught out of Eufaula and on the south end of the lake as well. So they're definitely out here to catch. Summertime, you're not going to catch one that big, just because of its post spawn, and they don't have the big belly on them. We just had the mayfly hatch. We had a late shad spawn, so all the rocky points have mayfly hatch. You know, the mayflies have died and they went up there on the rocks. The shad the same way. So all these main lake points with rocks, all of them with the structure around them, is where your fish are going to be at in the summertime. Because of our late time is the only reason why we're really hitting the rock points. Mainly in the summertime, you're going to hit just timber. You know, the fish want the shade, but at the same time they want to eat. And so the easy meal is the shad and the mayflies right now. Good quality eater right there. So Eufaula is gigantic. You know, it's a huge lake. So crappie fishing wise, I normally go, any lake you go to, I go as far away from the dam as I can go to. And I try to find the dirtiest water, because that's where your crappie are gonna hide at. That's where they're gonna be bigger, and they're not going to be as spooky because they're in dirtier water. If you go to up by the dam, it's clear water, and they're going to be, you know, definitely more spooky. So then once I get there and I know what time of year it is that we're going to be looking for fish, if it was to go out right now, I'm going to go out and I'm going to hit all those summertime spots I'm gonna go look for a main lake point. I'm gonna go look for a rock point. So like right now I'm in between two points. They're not far apart from each other, so these fish are right here in between them, just going back and forth and bedding down on these structures. Very rarely would you see me fishing by a dam trying to catch crappie. If it's a small lake, I'll fish by the dam to go see what's over there. If it's got a main channel that runs through it in the springtime or something, most dams are going to be all cleared off, so you're not going to have a bunch of structure around it. So I'm going to avoid that area at all costs in the summertime. And I'm going to go way far away. Even in the spring, you go to the creeks and, go find where the crappie are then. Pre-spawn, and they're looking to get fat out there feeding. You go hit the secondary channels on the main lake, or head on into the creeks, because they're in transition period. But summertime right now is definitely hit the main lake points, hit the rock points, and obviously anywhere you find structure, trees. And with it being flooded, you actually have some new stuff that's the fish aren't accustomed to. I say not accustomed to. They're not used to being in it because it's normally where they can't be at. Because the lake's flooded doesn't mean you can't catch fish. The fish are going to still be in the same areas as what they were going to be prior to the flood. If it was a normal summer, they're still going to be around, the rock points catching the mayfly and the shad. They're still going to be on the structures getting that shade and and staying cool. They're not going to be out running around chasing bait around. That's not what they're going to be doing. They're going to be up, chilling, hanging out. It's hot outside. They don't want to work too hard. So summertime fish, they're not going to want a big bait. In the springtime, you're going to get away with using that bigger bait. Right now I'm using just a 32nd ounce hand tie and then using a 1/4 ounce jig, weight above it just to help get it down there. And with this water being a little clearer than what it normally is, I'm using a 10-pound fluoro, and that just helps us catch fish. And we got a good one right here in front of us. Let's see if we can catch it. See it. Anybody can come out here and catch fish. Forward-facing sonar saves you some time fishing an area that there may not be no fish in, but if you don't have a forward-facing sonar, you can go on Lake Eufaula, go in 12 to 14, 15 foot of water, grab your two poles stroll, drop them down, let them touch the bottom, pull them back up, you've about 5 feet or so, and just keep on working about 1.5 miles an hour, and you go to those main lake rock points, and there's going to be fish around them. So I like the longer rods for live scoping, just because you can get away from the boat, a little bit from looking at 4 feet away to, if you're using a 7-foot bass rod, you're going to have to cast to them, which with the water being clear, we can do that, but these fish are all just sitting still, and the best presentation you can make it is with the longer rod. And I can drop right where I want to. And 3, 2, 1. So that was just 100% the rod. Perfect presentation. I mean, it's another 110, 120 fish, perfectly good eater. There's a ton of fish on Eufaula. It's 105,000 acres of water. There's fish. I've caught fish on the furthest north point of the lake. I've caught crappie on the furthest south point of the lake. I've caught them in the mid-lake. I've caught literally every direction on this lake. I've caught fish. Do I say that there's an overabundance of fish? There's not an overabundance, but Eufaula, for the quality of fish and the quantity of fish, this is the best place in the state. And in my personal opinion, I've fished all over the country in national tournaments, and this is the top 3 lake in the nation. Here he comes. That's a good fish. That's definitely our biggest one of the day. Yeah, that's a stud. So we caught our biggest fish of the day so far. Solid 170-ish. I mean, he's maybe even a little bit bigger. I mean, perfectly good hook set. Like I said, that's a 32nd ounce hair jig that I'm using, but that is a Lake Eufaula summertime stud muffin right there. All right, so we're gonna let that one go. She's a beauty. I'm gonna let her go on back.